Okay, so in today's video we're going to talk about Bing campaigns. Specifically, basically you're in position, or hypothetically you're in the position that you're running Google ad campaigns right now. It may be working for you a little bit or a lot, and you're thinking, I wonder what's with this Bing thing. Does anybody actually search on Bing? Is any of my customers there? Obviously, some people probably search on Bing, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. But yeah, I will be the first to confirm with you that Bing ads specifically works really, really well. Actually, better than Google ads work. The only difference is that the search volume on Bing is much less than it would be from Google. And so, basically, if you're in position that you have something that works on Google, I can tell you right now in advance, before going through anything else in this video, Bing will work in your space. Without knowing your niche, without knowing your business, Bing will work. And so, though, I'm going to go through all the things that I usually do to get Bing to work and get the most out of Bing, stuff that you should typically avoid like I normally do on my videos, and then you can ultimately decide if you want to go through it or not. I'm sure, though, that by the time you get done with this video, you certainly will, based upon how well it works and some of the stats that I'm going to go over with you in this video itself as well. And so the very first question on my list here of things that I'm going to go through is, basically, yes, it does work, like I said before. There are some basic stats that I've collected doing some analysis on a few dozen of the Bing campaigns that I've ran for clients here. And so, and basically with the 100+ campaigns that I've managed over the last 5-6 years, was able to compare that to the Google results. You can have a cross-reference, since the title of this video is related to running Google ads now and wanting to compare it, just how much of a difference it could make to run Bing, and what, ultimately, is there a point to moving your ads over there? And so with that said, usually you run Google ads and Bing ads together. If one works, the other works, like I was mentioning before. As far as the stats go, so for us, if you're under 50 years old watching this video, you probably wonder, who actually uses Bing? And I always have to reverberate to people that on a PC, people are searching via Internet Explorer, because Internet Explorer is on the PC by default when you get it. And what do you know? The Internet Explorer has Bing as a default search engine inside of Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer has been the bane of us web people for a long time. Optimizing websites for Bing is not easy, and we want to get away from it, but we just can't. Why? Because there's too big of a chunk of the market still searching on Bing to ignore it. But not only, which is, by the way, 10 to 20% of the market, depending on what niche you're in. It'll be more if you're in a niche that caters to or has as a average age bracket or demographic up in the higher age range in itself. For the most part, I found that Bing has 45 plus up. It's people who, I would say, if you're sane, that you would have downloaded Chrome to your device and you'd use that instead of Internet Explorer because of how well it's serviced, and because a lot of websites aren't geared to display websites on it, so on and on, yada yada. With that said, the 10 to 20% of the people searching there are from Bing, more if you're older, and that older demographic, basically the way, just to remind you, that usually the baby boomers and so on and so forth, they're the ones with the money. And if you're in a market where if you analyze your customer base and you know that you need that older demographic that has most of the wealth in the US, then you need to go after Bing, or you should. There's a lot of opportunity there, in other words. And as far as some of the other stats and how specifically it does better than Google, so you might get 5 to 10 times as much action on Google. If you're not, if you have Google maxed out, you can use Google to get more searches, usually about 20% more at a better ROI than you had before. And actually, a 20% increase in spend on Bing from your overall spend position now can get you 30 to 40% more sales really easily, or more depending on your market, again, based upon your customer demographic. But because an older demographic is searching on Bing, that the average customer is worth more. And the lifetime value of a customer usually is plus or minus almost double compared to Google because of that age range discrepancy. Beyond that, the conversion rate, again, like I was touching on before, is higher on Bing. Why? Logically, it makes sense. The older demographic, as they're searching, if they have more money, they're more serious, but also doing things on the web is harder. It's harder for them, no offense to anybody watching this, harder for them to read, harder for them to see. They're not accustomed to technology as us young bucks have been, and so therefore they're apt to want to do less clicking, less moving around online. And then therefore, if your ad is the one or site that you get to and it looks good, they're more likely to just to go with that instead of looking around for price discounts, better deals. You're just bored, want to do a little bit more research, excited about making a purchase. And so it converts at plus or minus 50% higher on average that I've seen looking at our stats on our campaigns where we're running both side by side compared to Google. And the third thing is the cost per click. The cost per click might be, not quite as dramatic of a difference, but 20%, 30%. I have 20% as a whole difference between Google, and with that also just adds to the reasons and the profitability, ultimately bottom line profitability that you're going to have from using Bing. So whereas it's only 15% of the search market of people searching using search engines as per globally produced stats, and that's why I say that if you go there and you're maxing out on Google from your small pool of buyers searching at any moment for your products and services, that you're going to be able to get potentially 30-40% more revenue from your business by adding that in. So it does make a huge impact. And for the most part, most people don't know about Bing, so they're not on Bing. They think, again, if they're younger, they'll just ignore it. And the younger people are the ones managing the campaign, so they don't know it. They haven't ran the tests that I have to see this. So, and then for that, there's less competition. The cost per click is cheaper. There's not as many good ads hosting good and pointing people to good landing pages. Therefore, it makes it easier to have a good landing page that impresses, and on to make you be able to get these numbers. For the most part, if you can't get Google to work, a lot of times I've seen people, I don't do it so much because I can usually get Google to work. You just have to be able to do more work and be a little bit more knowledgeable than the average person on Google to get it to work, and you can generally 90+% of the time get Google to work too. You can run Bing too if it is super competitive, or you're in a business that has the return on investment doesn't come from first purchase and you have to get it from several. That can be your foothold to get in and scale your campaign a little bit quicker going on Bing initially. So that's something to mention. So beyond that though, as far as going back to is it worth it or not, like a lot of things in life, you get what you put into it. And so it's junk in, junk out is another way to say it. 1 hour of work on getting your Bing ads to work, in addition to your Google ads that already work, can get you 20% more profitability from PPC, search ad or search advertising there on Google and Bing as a whole by adding it. And from in that, most people are aware that Bing has a Google import tool. So in other words, you have your Google ads working, you can use that tool that Bing has to quickly import all your keywords, all your ads, so on and so forth. Most people know about that. But it only gets you, it's just like barely trying, if you will, in terms of running a Bing campaign for yourself. And so if you're only going to be able to get, if you can easily get a 20% in an hour, obviously, just from that you want to do it. But beyond that, you can get as much as 2 to 5 times more than that initial 20%. So basically you can double your sales potentially if you just, because nobody's doing any of this stuff, go through and do it right. Go through and take it seriously. Take it seriously like you do Google, or maybe you don't, but most people that make really good money on Google have to take it seriously. They're not spending, the typical typical person does initially that crashes and burns, that spend 15 minutes setting up their ads and keywords. They spend literally hundreds of hours, like I do, to outwork the competition, set up hundreds, if not thousands of ads that are laser targeting each user's search based upon, and find, and actually help the user find what they want using good marketing practices there. And that, essentially that Bing can be what it comes down to. If you go in, you adjust your bids, which is what it comes down to. Each keyword has its own return on investment. You'll be able to see that if you have good conversion tracking or revenue tracking on your campaigns on Google. You'll set a bid based upon how each keyword does, and then going beyond that, not a lot of people do it, but I do. What state they're from, what gender they are, what age they are, what time of the day they search, what day of the week they search, so on and so forth. Set unique bids at each one of those levels. Because Bing has really stepped up their game, you can get almost the same level of bid adjustments. Not quite, but they're getting more all the time, so that you're taking advantage of all the data that you can get on your account that other people aren't using, which gives you even more of an advantage. And so, and within that, if you treat it like you would with Google, and then to where you can with Google, you couldn't really with Bing in the past, using all the data to your advantage in your account. First of all, they have conversion tracking like Google has now. They've had it for a while, but UET tracking, and by setting a cookie on your site just like you would do with Google, or with sort of like Google Analytics, a little bit harder than with what Google Analytics provides with Tag Manager. They also, another thing that they have now, they didn't have for a long time, is the offline revenue tracking. And it's just another thing that you may not be familiar with, because 99% of people aren't doing it. You can if you can't track all your orders through your site itself, most non-e-commerce businesses out there, or even e-commerce businesses that sell a product or service, I guess you could say, over $200, a lot of the purchases are going to come by the person first calling, or what have you, or they'll email first, and then 6 months later they'll buy, or let's just say 2 months later, sorry. And you want to be able to see the actual, where the sales are coming from, and how much revenue, and what the ROI is from each part of the account, like I just described. There's a way to take the offline sales that you're getting and plug them back into your account to get you much better awareness. Again, it adds it adds another level to the capability to outdo your competitors, which are going to not know where the customers are coming from. And then when you find the diamonds in the rough, you're going to be able to exploit it fully. They have that kind of tool, and also some other stuff that I haven't mentioned. Of course, stuff that's new that most people haven't taken a look at all yet. And so if you really want to make some money, and for me, it's easy for me to say because this is all I do, but in terms of scaling your business, this is about as least labor intensive, even though it does take some time, than virtually anything else you're going to be able to do to save money. Why else wouldn't you want to double your sales? And especially, if you're getting most of your sales from Google Ads now, why not you want to double that just by going through and doing this work on Bing? Spend 100 hours on it, dial it all in. That's it. And so for me, it doesn't make sense why people would dump all that money on their ads and then stop short of actually using all this data. Makes it really easy. You don't have to be a genius. It's a process of elimination to see where your ads are working, where they're not working, so you can apply a gradient of bids across your account, so you're promoting stuff that's producing more than average, or at least your return on investment you're looking for, more, and then less on less. Instead of shutting stuff off, you just bid less, and that gets you the most of every part of these two accounts, Google and Bing, you can, at the maximum level you can, to get that 6 or 8 to 1 ROI, revenue versus ad spend, that you're looking for to make a profit out of running these ads. And so But certainly, again, Bing, go ahead and check out Bing. If you're not having success with your Google Ads, or if you're not running Google Ads, just somehow found this video, keep in mind, if you do try Google, come back to Bing first. Use it. It's easier to, it's a less of a learning curve, still a little bit more than Google. So even though it is more advanced than it was, it's still easier than Google to get to work for several reasons. Less switches and levers in there. It's less competitive. So in any case, that is on a general basis how Bing should work into your PPC strategy as a whole. If you're running Google search ads now or Google ads now, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I'd be happy to help you out or comment on the Bing strategy you're proposing or doing and give you some insight as to what you may or may not be doing right. And hope that you are like this video and would like to check out some of my other videos on PPC strategy. I do a video every day, so hope you will watch those and can ultimately see some use from those as well. Thank you.